Glaucon breaks all good things into three classes. The first kinds, we desire for their own sake, like the experience of harmless pleasure. The second, we want only for the value they bring, though they may be onerous, like exercise or medicine. The third class comprises things we desire for their own sake and the value they offer, like knowledge and health. Glaucon argues that justice belongs to the second class of good, it's a burden that nevertheless brings rewards. The only reason anyone conducts themselves virtuously, he reasons, is due to external influences. So it's appearing, not actually being, virtuous that matters. Socrates, as written by Plato, disagrees, countering that justice belongs to the third class of good, offering both extrinsic and intrinsic benefits. Socrates argues that the human soul has three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. Reason guides an individual to truth and knowledge, and is influenced by either spirit or appetite. Spirit is righteous, ambitious, and the source of bold action, while appetite consists of baser, bodily desires. To Socrates, the philosopher is led by reason, and their spirit keeps their appetite in check, making them the most just and the happiest. Even without consequences for self-serving wrongdoings, they wouldn't commit them. Meanwhile, the tyrant succumbs to appetite and acts unjustly.
But what's actually going on during that process? Well, firstly, drowning isn't like how you see it in the movies. There's not a lot of thrashing around or yells for help. Typically, it's a silent act, where the person's mouth sinks below the surface of the water and then reappears as they try to breathe. Once they can no longer hold their initial breath and start to hyperventilate, they might aspirate water, triggering something called a laryngospasm. This is where the person's vocal cords spasm, blocking their airways and protecting their lungs. However, it also inconveniently makes yelling for help significantly harder to do. Since the person can't take in any fresh air, their oxygen supply starts to fall, potentially leading to a condition called hypoxia. This is where there's not enough oxygen reaching the body's tissues. And eventually, as the person becomes unconscious, there's a relaxation of their airway, allowing their lungs to fill with water. Depending on how long the person has gone without air, varying levels of damage can occur. For example, a 2013 study found that the likelihood of surviving with little to no brain damage was very low after being submerged for 10 minutes or more. The lack of oxygen can also lead to cardiac arrest. So, basically what I'm saying is that drowning is absolutely terrifying.
A lot of people can't get used to the short days or longer nights during the winter months. There are a lot of theories as to why that occurs. One of the theories is that we become desynchronized with the light-dark patterns because we don't get enough light during the day. So, some people can't really adapt to that. So they start having feelings like depression, withdrawal, carbohydrate craving, weight gain. And that typically goes away during the summer months. So that's really what characterizes what we call seasonal affective disorder known as winter blues. I think there are huge individual differences, but we know of studies where it appears that maybe 20 minutes of daily dosage of strong light is enough. And then we're talking about a light that resembles a daylight or an outdoor exposure. And this light dosage should be presented during morning hours. There's a couple of things that can be done. First of all, obviously go outdoor during the day. If you can, spend 1 to 2 hours outside. If you can't do that, sit by a window. But don't sit against the window. Sit facing the window because that's where you want to get the light. You want the light at the eye. And the third option is to increase the amount of light that you have around you. So if you're going to sit at a desk and work from home, add table lamps, add lamps around your computer screen. Add something that would increase that amount of light at the eye.
But actually, it turns out there's a twist here, because givers are often sacrificing themselves, but they make their organizations better. We have a huge body of evidence, many studies, looking at the frequency of giving behavior that exists in a team or an organization. And the more often people are helping and sharing their knowledge and providing mentoring, the better organizations do on every metric we can measure. Higher profits, customer satisfaction, employee retention, even lower operating expenses. So givers spend a lot of time trying to help other people and improve the team, and then unfortunately they suffer along the way. And I want to talk about what it takes to build cultures where givers actually get to succeed. So I wondered then, if givers are the worst performers, who are the best performers? And let me start with the good news. It's not the takers. Takers tend to rise quickly but also fall quickly in most jobs. And they fall at the hands of matchers. If you're a matcher, you believe in an eye for an eye, a just world. And so when you meet a taker, you feel like it's your mission in life to just punish the hell out of that person. And that way justice gets served. Well, most people are matchers, and that means if you're a taker, it tends to catch up with you eventually. What goes around will come around. And so
researcher at the MIT Media Lab, part of the Opera of the Future group, and my research focuses on the relationship people have with their own voice and with the voices of others. I study what we can learn from listening to voices from the various fields, from neurology to biology, cognitive sciences, linguistics. In our group we create tools and experiences to help people gain a better applied understanding of their voice in order to reduce the biases, to become better listeners, to create more healthy relationship, or just to understand themselves better. And this really has to come with a holistic approach on the voice. Because think about all the applications and implications that the voice may have, as we discover more about it. Your voice is a very complex phenomenon. It requires a synchronization of more than 100 muscles in your body. And by listening to the voice, we can understand possible failures of what happens inside. For example, listening to very specific types of turbulences and nonlinearity of the voice can help predict very early stages of Parkinson's just through a phone call. Listening to the breathness of the voice can help detect heart disease. And we also know that the changes of tempo inside individual words is a very good marker of depression.